Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you are watching us. You're most welcome to another episode of our podcast, We Talk 101. My name is Atijuka Joanna Irene, and I'll be your host for the day. Well, today we have a very important person. We have a very special guest, as she will be introducing herself. But once again, sit back, relax, and enjoy this. Yes, you're most welcome. And could you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Thank you very much, Joanna. First of all, I'm really glad to be here today.
We're
Thank you
glad
for
to
the
have you.
invitation.
Mm.
Well, my name is Joan Bionanevi. I am a student at the International University of East Africa, and I am a business owner. I'm a founder of Avara Hospitality Solutions. Avara Hospitality Solutions is looking at venturing into events planning and management. But for now, we provide hostesses for events like weddings, concerts, birthdays, and any other events.
Okay. We're so glad to have you here, and it's actually good that we have you here, given the topic we are going to talk about. Previously, we've been talking about mental health, and we are still talking about mental health, breaking it down into small snippets of what it could be. But today, we are going to talk about strength in vulnerability. When you hear the word vulnerability, what do you understand? What comes to your mind?
Okay, so I'm going to use physical examples, me and you here.
Okay.
So if I'm vulnerable to you, it means I depend on you. Basically, I can say like that. Like I I have to do what pleases you, and like I always have to please you because I know I depend on you. At a certain point, you help me somewhere. So when you are vulnerable, you have a weakness. Like you have someone that has to guide you. Maybe it might be a leader that has to show you a way. It might be a teacher. It might be your parents or your spouse. So being vulnerable is you are not independent. You have someone you're depending on. That's how I can describe it.
Okay, because personally, in this what I say, okay. Now, personally, I feel like the society has a different definition, or maybe close to that. But I feel like the society has made us ignore or stay away from vulnerability. They're telling us be strong, push through it. You know, hold it all together, hold it together. But what if real strength was different? What if real strength is not your ability to hold in everything? What if it starts by being honest with how you feel and what you're going through? So in my opinion, I feel like vulnerability is that strength that people think is not a strength you know so today we want to understand, according to you, um, what is vulnerability and what isn't vulnerability. We want to understand how does vulnerability build strength, or does it feel risky? And if it does, what are those risks that someone is ready to lay down for the sake of their mental health? So, to start with, I'm going to ask you a personal question. Have you had an experience in your life where you have had to be vulnerable, and did you take the initiative to do so? And when you did, was it a positive impact or it was negative? Yeah.
Okay, so now when we look at that vulnerability, where it becomes positive and negative, um, let me use an example of a man and a woman. We are married, your spouse, and as a man, society expects you never to be vulnerable,
Right, right.
and as a woman, maybe at some point there is some sort of time where you do not have to be vulnerable. I mean, society expects you. You're married, you have to keep in the marriage no matter what.
You have to be strong for your
Yeah,
family.
which is wrong. I feel like that side of vulnerability is really what we Africans take to be wrong. You know, everyone can be vulnerable, and it's good to be vulnerable because we shall always have a time where we are weak, and we need people to push us. So I believe it's very good to be vulnerable. And yeah, at some point it's bad. There is a time someone is so vulnerable and they can't do anything for themselves
Right.
because they know there always someone to push for them, even when it's hard. But one thing I can say is that as society we should always expect each and everyone to be vulnerable. No matter the sex, no matter the status, I might be rich, I might be a politician, I might be a president, but at some time, yes, society has to come up and do something for me.
Right.
So one time I've experienced vulnerability is um one is school. Let me say you are not doing well in a certain subject, and your peers expect you to be doing well in everything,
Right.
and you cannot go to someone and tell them, you know what, I cannot calculate
Struggling.
this. Yeah, and it really lets you down, and your grades are not improving. The teachers are putting you on pressure. They expect you to be that intelligent woman, and then you are. They have to know that at certain point you are also vulnerable. Then another part is you as a woman. Um, where I felt like it was really a bad impact, me being vulnerable, is maybe you are in courtship with someone, and they do not expect you to do big things. They expect you to be vulnerable or ask for each and everything. It's really bad. Me as a person, it hurts me.
Okay.
Yes, I am a woman, but I've gone to school, you've gone to school, you. So if you can provide, I can also do something.
Okay.
Yeah. And where it was really good, and I felt the impact is for example, when I was starting the business, i I reached out to some people, and that time you're vulnerable, you're trying to explain to someone you really feel will judge you, and they pull you out, and they're like, okay, we can do something, we can try to lift you up, we can try to market for you and get you some events. I really felt good, and I was like, okay, these people
That's so
have
nice.
understood me. They've understood that I'm in that mental state where I have that pressure to get the events, get the girls out to work and everything. So I felt like it was of good impact because the society got to understand that I needed help.
And if you hadn't expressed it, maybe you wouldn't have gotten clients from
Exactly,
that person.
exactly. And you are feeling like now, I have some people that believe in me. Yeah, so I felt like it was really good. It was of good impact, even though I felt like it wasn't something I would have done at the beginning.
Right.
But when I did it, I realized, you can be vulnerable at any time.
That's very amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I've come to understand this is also personal to me because it's known that every time we are going to find it easy to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
There's some things you'll be a bit hesitant, you're overthinking about it, but some people are not even open to the idea of being vulnerable, and it's so sad that society makes it seem, for us ladies, they make it seem like for a lady it's okay to be vulnerable, but for a guy, when you're vulnerable, begin saying things like, oh, you're a man, stay
have to
strong,
man up.
you have to man up, which I feel kind of brings them down and deters them from taking that step. So, what do you think are the reasons why some people find it so hard to be vulnerable? I'm saying some people because I know there are ladies out there that also find it hard, but I've come to understand that it's majorly men that actually do find that hard. But to keep it general, why do you think some people find it hard to be vulnerable?
Okay. So one of the biggest reasons why people feel it's really hard for them to come out and realize I really need help is society. That society has given us that picture that the man has to always figure it out no matter what.
Right.
Or if you're a woman, you're big, you have big businesses, they expect you to be moving. Your graph has to be moving high.
You
It
can't
never
have
has
any
to fall
downsides,
down.
yeah.
Exactly. So society puts us in that condition. And another biggest place that puts us into failing to be vulnerable or fearing to get into the vulnerability state is our family, upbringing, parents. You know, they have taught a man to be resilient. A man doesn't have to cry. A man doesn't have to ask for help. You will always have to figure it out. So our families have really made it difficult for us to cope up with trying to bring balance in everything.
Right.
So at a time where we've brought emancipation, women are venturing into politics. You get, they are out there getting good grades. Men are trying to balance, coping up with women who are empowered, who are doing well, who are striving. Our families have still brought it in a way that they have trained a woman to be vulnerable to a man, and then they've trained a man never to be
Never to
vulnerable.
be vulnerable.
So I believe actually family has done worse than our societies.
And sometimes I feel like people fear being judged, at least speaking from my perspective. There's sometimes in the past where I found it hard to be vulnerable because I'm like, what will this person think about me? Be like, if I tell Joanne this, she will not look at me the same way, or she will think I'm a very weak person, which I think people should not think about, especially when it comes to something that could help you where you need help. But I feel like sometimes it's hard for people to break out of that bubble.
Yeah,
They
okay.
find it difficult. What are you going to say?
Okay, yeah, that's like everyone always feels that. You know what society is.
Yeah.
You've seen what social media does when someone comes out and speaks about what they feel like they should speak about, how negative people are. Society is like that. But me, one advice I would give about that, us feeling like we shall be judged, I am not comfortable with us coming out into the society, and if I'm in a marriage that is not working out for me, I can have I can look into subscribing to a mentorship space, joining a certain group of people, maybe that who are married. I get people to counsel me, and then always get that one person you can talk to, and you know, I I cannot advise people to always go. It depends the weight of a problem. I cannot advise people to go out there and be like, you know what, society, I aborted, so I'm facing this challenge and this. You get a point. Um, I'm a man, I found my woman is like this, and I don't feel like we should do that because society will always judge. But trust me, there is always one person you can always talk to,
Yeah.
and there is a society where you will always feel safe. Yeah.
And when you brought up that topic of a lady coming out and saying, I had abortion, it actually clicked to another question that has been bothering me. That so actually you have reminded me when you talked about how a lady comes out and said I've aborted. It has clicked a question that what happens when vulnerability is punished and not protected? Because we've seen this a lot on social media. A lady comes up and she's saying, "Oh, my husband has been what is it called, violent with me. He has been physically harassing me." And when you read the comments, you realize some people are actually attacking her. Yeah, they don't really know what happened. This is a person that has come out to try and be vulnerable because of you never know. Maybe some people in their lives they don't have someone they can trust. They don't have someone they can talk to on some issues. And social media has kind of given us this space of you can come and talk about whatever is bothering you. But then we've seen it a lot that some of these people actually do get attacked instead of getting protected. So what happens when vulnerability is punished instead of protected?
Yeah, of course what happens is your mental health now. You are there, like the people you expected to give you hope are letting you down. So me, I feel like we should really understand. We should never judge people. We are not God. God is the only judge on this planet. I sometimes I also see something and I'm really judgmental, but I never comment. At least keep silent if you're
At least keep
judgmental.
silent.
Yeah, and
That's
let
what I
people who
always
can
say.
give hope. If someone has come out to speak, let's always give them hope. And one thing I can give, one advice I can give to society, especially when you feel like something is outweighing your capacity and you need to speak to society, is We can always go out online and search for these influencers that
Uh,
we've seen people trust. Like you see, we have the Sheila Prices. LinkedIn has some professors, that people go, you talk to them, you tell them your story. There are very many.
counselors.
Then he comes out, he doesn't mention your name. And in their comments, it's
Mm,
always better
yeah,
than me, Joanne, coming out. My friends know me. And I'm
and
talking
I
about
attack
the
you.
man I've been telling them, you guys, my man is gay. So they do not know you. They will come with sympathy and they will show you that way.
Mm,
So okay, me personally, I can never advise someone to go out there and be like, this guy is hitting me. Try to talk to someone that can tell your story, and you learn from them. You
mm.
follow up, they follow up, they give you the advice you get, but not you coming out in your own picture. Especially people who are known, the celebrities, the
Mm.
politicians. I don't advise them to come out and
Yeah, but you see, we have seen it. It's okay. Yeah, there is an up and down side, but we've also seen it actually do help people, especially when
I
they've
feel,
tried. Yeah, especially when they've tried help in the background
yeah,
and it has
exactly.
not worked out. I've seen most of them get some help when they do it on social media. It kind of circulates and they get really some help. So I think it just depends on what topic
Yeah,
you're
it's
talking
a
about.
personal advice.
Mm.
Me, I can
You
never
wouldn't do it.
advise someone to do it, especially the known people.
Mm.
People will always judge you the way they want. And with our Uganda, I don't know other countries. In Uganda, it's the only country where you are doing well and you expect people to be backing you up and they are busy waiting for you to
Wait for
fail.
your downfall.
Yeah, so
Mm.
I wouldn't give that advice.
Wow. So now we have talked about vulnerability being safe, and we have also talked about vulnerability not being safe. In that case, you've told us when you come on social media and you bring your problems and people are attacking you. But how do we know when and with whom to open up to?
How do you know when and with whom to open up
Yeah.
to? Yeah, so
Well, to give you an icebreaker, some people wait when the depression has hit them,
yeah,
and which I think people shouldn't do. I don't think people should wait until they are really really down to actually do come up, because that means there will be more effort for damage control and stuff. I feel like people should come out a bit earlier, but they don't seem to know when and with whom. That still goes back to
okay.
something personal.
Yeah, I get
Mm.
you. I get that point. Yeah, so when I don't think you need to wait for that weight like on you and you feel it's so heavy for you.
Mm.
We shouldn't wait for that time. That's why I tell you, even though you're an introvert or which type of person,
Mm.
always have that people like. If you do not trust people, have a group you subscribe to. Let me say, for example, I'm a business owner. I
Mm.
subscribe to an group that unites certain business
That
owners.
understands you.
Exactly.
Mm.
And people will always talk about their challenges in that group.
Mm.
You get a point? And you will always get some knowledge from that group. So if something happens to you, you will remember, it had happened to her. You
Mm.
inbox her, you talk to her. You were in a group maybe talking about something, and you remember, okay, it happened to her. Or you have a group you feel safe, like you can always go discuss something. You can bring it as a story and you're like, a friend has told me this and this
Mm.
happened to them.
As a third party.
Yeah, and then they give you the advice. So I don't think we should always wait for when it has hit so hard. Me,
Mm.
whenever I get a challenge, I even if I was working and someone abused me and was like, you do not have a balm.
Mm.
I have people I'll call my spouse and I tell them, someone told me I don't have a balm. Like, I don't keep it to me. Like, when it burns me, it has burnt me.
Mm.
So we do not have to wait for that time when you will be like, I don't have a balm, I can't walk, I can't go into a certain space because they have balms.
Mm.
When that starts coming, you're losing it. You're losing your self-esteem. Now you're going to start falling sick. Now I can't go here. I was going to get an opportunity there. You get?
Yeah.
Let's not wait to lose it. Always have at least a person you trust, a, a place where you feel safe. Whenever
Mm.
don't feel safe, move on. Get somewhere you feel safe. we live once and life is short.
Mm.
We cannot keep, begging people to be onto us. There are very many good people out there. If you're dating someone and you're not good with them, you're not in good terms, move on. Like, life is short. Single mothers of 4 kids have moved on.
What
And
about
you're
you?
young, you're below 25, you're below 30, you're trying to force yourself on someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we have been talking about vulnerability from the point of sharing. Now, let's dive into the point of receiving. When someone comes and opens up to you, when is it appropriate to just listen or give advice? Because sometimes, and this is, I've also sometimes you share with someone just to let it out. You don't really want advice, but that sometimes you really do want advice. So if I came to you and I opened up to you and I'm like, Joanne, this and this is bothering me. When is it right to just listen? And when is it right to give advice? And or do we have to wait for the person to ask us for advice?
Okay. So yeah, when is it right for you to give advice, and when is it right for you to wait? So it depends the type of thing you guys are talking about.
Mm.
First card.
Mm.
Yeah, so when is it always right for you to listen? One, whatever the program, you always have to just listen.
Mm.
Yeah, giving an ear and listen, be sympathetic. Don't judge. Like, whenever you're talking to that person and they are telling you their issues, please don't judge. You have to listen and allow them to speak out whatever is hurting them. Even when they feel like it's so heavy, tell them,
Mm.
I'm here.
And listen.
And yeah, and so when someone is telling you, you realize either they wanted someone to speak to, you will always realize.
There is always tell.
Yeah, and either they wanted someone to speak to, or I can give advice.
Okay.
But sometimes someone wants someone to speak to,
Most
and
cases.
yeah, you realize they wanted someone to speak to, but then you need to say something.
Mm. And that's something we were talking about in our previous episode. We're talking about not bottling emotions. We're talking about expressing yourself in a way that you don't let it pile up. And that's really important. That's one of the issues I feel like need time. Okay, not really time, but it's one of those problems that do not need rushed decisions, because you could make a decision, you could make a choice, and you regret it after. So I feel like before I even give you advice or tell you what to do, it needs you as a person to sit down and try to analyze both options of whether to keep the baby or not to keep the baby, have the baby and have it adopted, or have the baby and raise it. Now that comes back to you as well. Yes, your parents have said they will disown you, but if you have the baby, do you have the means to take care of that baby? Is the guy, the father, really ready to take charge of that baby? If you want to take the route of abortion, what are the safe ways to do it? Isn't it going to affect you as a woman? Isn't it going to affect your health? So I feel these are some of the things you need to analyze. Now, these are some, basically, I could tell you, but again, it all comes to you because it's your body and it's your life. I'll just help you analyze the pros and cons. Maybe if you are just looking at, oh, I'm just going to abort this baby. I'm not going to think about again. This comes back to you. That's the best thing I know to help you look at both sides without bias. Otherwise, it all comes back to you. So to avoid basically the best exercise for you to